In this video, we're going to be going over different types of wedding bows. So wedding bows are also one of those things that is very often in demand. You can also use a lot of these bows for funeral type work. So the first thing we're going to do is kind of talk about the different ribbons that are often used and kind of what their texture is like, and I'm going to show you some great bows. So some of the most common things used in wedding bows is going to be the satin ribbon. Okay, so this satin ribbon actually looks about the same on both sides. Okay, and then this satin ribbon looks very shiny on one side and very dull on the other side. This type of satin ribbon is the same on both sides. Okay, but it is very, very, very soft and satiny. This one is this is the most limp type of satin ribbon. You see how it just kind of drapes. This one's going to be a little bit stiffer. Okay, so you can see you can kind of get it into a shape. This one is even stiffer. Now this one is going to be more brittle, which means it's going to be easy to tear. So you have to be careful when you're working with these types of ribbons, just because of how easy they are to kind of tear. And the other thing is that once you have creased these ribbons, okay, it is almost impossible to get this crease out. Okay, so that's kind of what you have to deal with when you're dealing with these types of ribbons. So those are the satin ribbons that you're mainly going to deal with. You also might deal with tulle. Okay, so tulle is often found in weddings. You can get these larger rolls at Hobby Lobby. Burlap is also something that is often used in weddings, in wedding bows, in wedding decorations. So let's talk about how you can make these bows. So one, you can make them by hand. You can make them with something that is rather stiff. So we'll use the comb for one. You can make them with bow makers, and you can make them with spool holders. So if you have a spool holder, you'll be able to do that. If you have the Pro Bow 4-in-1, you'll be able to do that. Okay, so let's kind of go through one of the most common bows and one of the easiest bows, and that's going to be with our tulle. So we're going to do this a couple different ways. This is about 15 inches wide. So that's going to give us somewhere around, what, 7-inch loops. So that's really good. So what I'll do is I could kind of put my tulle on this little spool holder over here. You could also put it, if you have your if you have a mesh roller, you can put it on that, or you can just throw it on the floor. All right, you're just going to take one length of the whole piece. So this is about 20 inches long. Okay, so go about 20 inches out, and then you're going to start, and you are going to wrap. So first you're going to wrap that tail. And then you're going to wrap around. Okay, so I think we are going to put this on the floor. You want to, the trick to this is to make sure you have plenty of this tulle out. Okay, so you're just going to go around and around. around. So this is, I believe, 5.5 inches wide. This is actually 6-inch wide tulle. So let's see how many we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 so far, so that would be about 10 loops. So let's do one more and a tail. Go. So one more around. Now let's do another tail about the length. There we go. All right, so we're just going to trim this off. Now, here's how this works. What you can do is you can actually just find the center. Now this one has a hole in the middle, so I know where the center is. You can use wire, you can use zip ties. Okay. Before I pull this off, I want to put something in the back. Whoops, not glue. Okay. Like a pipe cleaner. So I'll just run this under where my zip tie is. So you can see my zip tie right here. I'm just going to pull this really tight and then I'm going to pull it out. Okay. Now, the trick to this, of course, is just pulling these out. So what you're going to do is you're just going to pull them out and pull the whole piece out. I like to just kind of pull one up, fluff it out, then pull the next one and pull it down. You see, one up. Okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. There's our tail. So let's pull that through. And if the tails aren't as long as you want, don't worry, we can add tails. There we go. So once we get them all pulled out, just like this, and we're going to go and we're going to pull the other side the same way. You do want to have a fairly clean work surface when you're working on these because it will pick up every little thing. It's going to pick up glitter, it's going to pick up everything. So you make sure you have a clean work surface when you work with this. You can see it's picking up little particles. And that can be a kind of a pain to get those off. So definitely make sure you take a little time to clean off your work surface. Okay. So up, down, pull it out, up, down. Okay. So here's the bow. Let me just see if I can get any little loose pieces off of there. All right, and then we're just going to kind of pull it out and arrange it. Here's our tails down here, and I can add extra tails, which is really quite easy to do. Okay, so pull them out. But you can see this is very see-through, it's very whimsical, it's sheer, and it's popular. These are often put on pews, they're put on chairs, just anywhere people can tie them. So you can see you make bows with a lot of different things. Okay. There. Isn't that cute? See how that looks very wedding-y. Now, if you want to add long draping tails, you're just going to take your tulle I'm going to do like a yard, so I'll just get 2. Okay, then I want to do maybe 28 inches. Okay, so we'll get 2 of those. Okay, and here's the center here. So I'll kind of pull these out, make sure they're pretty even. Okay, then I'm just going to go in the back, trim off my zip tie. Okay, and I'm going to tie these 2 right in with the pipe cleaner, and go ahead and twist that pipe cleaner okay, and then you have nice long tail. So if they put it on a pew, then it's going to have this draping down the front. Okay, and you just want to kind of even them out. There we go. All right, so that is a tulle bow. They're really quite easy to make. They're very inexpensive. So for people who are having weddings that they're trying to save money, or they just like this look, it's a great one to do. All right, so let's set this one aside. Let's talk about these. Now you can do these exactly the same way we just did the tulle. Okay, you can use something like this. You can also use, so you would do it the same way we just did. You could also use something like this. So what I'll do, okay, so I'm going to take this, throw it in the floor. I'm going to start going around. So that first one is a tail, so I'm not going to count that one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I want 8, and then I want another tail. Okay, so I'll cut that there. Okay, I'm going to slip this off. Just push it right off. Go. So this ribbon can be a little bit more difficult to work with, which is why I'm going to show you how to do it this way. All right, now I want to kind of flatten it a little bit, and then I want to find the center. So here's the center. I'm going to crease it there, and I'm going to crease it there. Then I'm going to come in, I'm going to cut a small angle here and a small angle here, kind of like a triangle. Pull that out. Okay. Same thing on the other side. You don't want to go too far in when you're doing this. Okay. So you're going to end up with a little piece like this. All right, and then you can take, oh, here we go. Then you can take your zip tie, and you're going to go right in the center of that. Okay. She found something. Okay, slide that in, tighten it. All right, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start pulling. So there's our little tail. So just kind of pull that out, pull that one out. Don't worry about these because we're actually going to add tails on. All right, so pull from the center, pull it up. Pull from the center, pull it down. Okay, from the center up. Okay, and that one is just in the center. Okay, so center up, center down, center up, and center down. All right, now what you're gonna do, and the reason we cut that little piece in it is because now you can take it and you can start to get it in where you want it. So you know how we do the twist, all right? So you want to twist it around. Okay, and what that's doing is that's breaking it from being stuck in the center. And then you can put it in place where you want it, okay? Here as well. This one as well. Okay, this one. This one. This one. You also want to pull them loose from each other. Okay. Now we can start to get them in where we want them. Okay. This is very challenging ribbon to work with, but as you can see, it really does come out to be quite pretty. Okay, so this is going to be a smaller one. It does have an odd number of loops. So when I'm doing one color, I really like to have an odd number of loops. Okay. So you can see this is not wired ribbon, so it is not going to look the same. It's not going to be the same. It's not going to feel the same. Okay. It takes a lot of fluffing and getting it in place. Okay, so this is the ribbon that is the same on both sides. Did you see how pretty that is? You see what a pretty bow that makes? Now you would just take your tails. Okay, so we'll do maybe like a 30-inch tail here. Okay, there. Oh, how lovely. Okay, we'll make this one a little bit shorter. So you can see this one came from Hobby Lobby. They all do the same thing with the putting the two ribbons together and leave it in the bolt. It happens all the time, y'all. Okay. All right, Okay, so this is our center here. Let's cut it a little bit smaller. Maybe about there. Okay. All right. Okay. Just gather it up. Zip tie here. And then right in the center. There we go. There. All right. There we have our pew bow. Isn't that pretty? It's very pretty. All right, so let's look at another kind. And I want to show you what it's like to make these on a bow maker. This is the one that's a little bit more brittle, but it's also stiffer. So it can be a little bit easier to get it where you want it to go. Okay. So we can start off with, let's do like a 28-inch tail. Okay. All right, we're gonna do 7-inch loop. Okay, 7. When you're twisting these, you really want to be careful because remember, these will crease and then you can't get that crease out. So you want to be careful when you're making those creases. There. Okay, so. And when you're making a bow, you are only twisting on one side. You're twisting on the opposite side of the loop. All right, so we go through. I like to go through sideways, and then when I get down to the bottom, I grab the side that is coming up and I twist it. So this side stays up, it stays nice. This side gets twisted. So you can see the dull side is up, the shiny side is up. Okay. The trick to this is to be careful and make sure you keep the measurements that you want, because once you've twisted it, you can't really undo those little creases. Okay, so we have 3 on each side. Okay, that's going to be 4. Okay, this will be 5. 5. And one more so that we have 12 loops. Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay, and then we're just gonna trim our tail here. All right. Now we're going to take another zip tie. Similar to the way we always do it, we're just going to run our zip tie under the bottom. Get it started, pull it out. Very important that you get it in that center. So you want to hold it on one side, but you kind of want to be gentle with this because remember, it creases very easily. It also makes a beautiful bow. Whoops. So we just run our little pipe cleaner through the back, tighten it up really well, and then very similar to how we always do it, we're going to pull and twist. The reason we do that, okay, can you see how this is kind of stuck down in there? When we pull and twist, we're able to pull those out. Okay. Because they will get stuck down in that zip tie, and so you're pulling it and you're fluffing it. So when you pull it, it allows you to get your hands down in there and get those little pieces out. Is if I try to do it now, it's going to be a lot harder and it won't stay. But if I kind of break it loose, then I can get it to stay. So you see how different this ribbon is from the other satin ribbon that is actually satin on both sides. So this is why I prefer to work with this one. It is brittle, however, it will hold its shape and it will make a nice loop bow. And this looks awesome on a pew. These are often also used in funeral work. They do well outside. But look, see the difference between this bow, okay, and how you can really get these to fluff out, go where you want them to. This is why you have to be really cognizant when you are picking your ribbons. Okay, see how pretty that looks? Okay, now look at the difference. Okay, so that's really pretty, it's really shiny, but this one really fluffs out well. So you kind of just want to be aware of what kind of ribbon you want to use when you're doing certain things. This one holds out really well too. Even though it is tulle, it still stands up really well, okay? So these are going to be the main types here. Now you can do as many or as few loops as you want. Okay. Now let's look at this kind. So this satin is really used just to do accents. Sometimes they use this to do the bows that go around the chairs. All right, so like this. Okay, you can see what these types of satin bows kind of come out looking like. Okay, like this. So it is floppy, but it's pretty. Now this is a really large one. This is 4 inches, but it's only 3 yards in here. So to make these bows, honestly, the best way is just use your bow maker. You could do your hand as well, but I kind of think that these do a little better if you do them in the bow maker. Okay, so these generally don't have a lot of loops, and they generally don't have really long tails. Okay, so we're just gonna do like a 6-inch loop. Okay, there. Six, and then what I'll do is like about 4.5. Okay. The trick to these is to just take your time. Okay, just like that. The reason that you go through the process, no, it's too long, okay. The reason you go through the process of twisting in the center is it allows these bows to really fluff out much better. You see how that end is not real great? You can use your rotary cutter and get a little bit of a better edge. Okay, there we go. All right. Perfect. Whoop. So your rotary cutter comes in handy for a lot of different things. With these pure out satin ones, it can be a challenge. Okay. Now this is the satin that has the satin on both sides. This is the satin that has a dull side and a shiny side, just so you're going to be able to see the difference, because there is going to be a difference. Okay. Oops. Let's get that one out. Okay. I want to get it in the center where I had it. So what I can do if I'm not sure is I can pull my two ribbons up like this and see if they meet. If they do, then I'm in the center. Because this one, it's a lot harder to tell where the center is than it is for some of the other ones. So it's great just to use that little trick to make sure you got it in the center. You can also do it with the back ones. See? Okay. Now we get that zip tie on there well. I'm gonna go ahead and cut that off. The good thing is there's not much to fluffing these. Really all you have to do is just kind of make sure that they are kind of all pulled out like that. Okay. There we go. And you see that's really pretty. It is floppy, okay, but it's pretty, and it looks really great on something like a chair. Okay, and then this is the one, so you can see the one, hold on. Okay. The one that only has satin on one side, it is not quite as floppy. So it does hold up a little better, but it's not going to look great on both sides. Just so you can kind of compare and see. Okay, so now we're going to look at burlap. So generally the burlap that's used is the just natural burlap. Comes in a lot of different colors. But you can make a burlap bow just like you make the others. We're going to use the bow maker on this one. All right, so let's say we want like a 12-inch tail. So just put that down, push it down. This is a 5.5 roll. You can get it smaller. Okay, so we're going to start out at the 7. So this is very thick. This is why I like to use the bow maker, because it is very thick. Drop that in the ground. So I think the bow makes it a little bit easier to do that twist, because it is in the bow maker. It gives you a little bit more ability to kind of pull it through. Okay. All right. Then we'll do another one. About the same. Okay, so I'm just twisting it on that one side. Okay. When I twist, I'm kind of taking a few minutes to make sure that the whole piece is even here. Because with this type of stuff, it will kind of pull in the middle. All right, now I'm going to do just 2 small ones in the center. There. So these are really popular at barn weddings. They're also popular for the backs of chairs. I am going to go get a chair and show y'all kind of how these look on chairs. Okay, there we go. All right, so we'll pull this out. Trim it off. There we go. Okay, zip tie. Alrighty. This bow is heavier, so I'm going to use something a little different for the tie in this one. Pull it out. Okay, there's our indention. Okay, so hold it. Go around the back, make sure it stays in that indention. Okay. And I kind of want to just look at it real quick. Yes, looks good. Okay. I want to use some wired sisal. This is really great. It's thinner than antique wire, but it is nice and strong. Let's see, where's the little beginning? Let's take that off so you can see. There it is. Okay. You also want to think about when you are doing these, if these are going to be put on the back of a chair, you're going to need a lot more if it's going to be put on the back of a chair. So if you are doing these, you want to make sure that you're putting an accurate description of how much tie comes with it. Okay, so this is about 1 yard. Push that down, slide it through. Okay, just like this. There we go. All right, now we can tie this. Now remember, if you have trouble with these, get out your pliers and use your pliers and let them do the work. Okay. Look how cute that is. That's really cute. All right, let me go get a chair. Then I can start to show you how some of these can be used. All right, so here we have a chair. Okay, and what is often done is they're going to tie things on the backs of the chairs, such as this. So they could put it in the center like this. You can see how cute that looks. So if I tie this on, you can see how cute it looks. There we go. So you can see how cute that looks on the chair. What they also often do is they will take some of the fabric and tie that around underneath the bow. Okay, just like this. Then they would just tie it and put the bow on there. Okay. Okay. They also often put these bows here on the chair. Sometimes they put them on the corner. So this will give you ideas on how you can take the pictures to kind of showcase your bows. All right, so this one here. And oftentimes they'll do bows like this for the bride and groom's chair. So on the side, okay, this one here, put these down so you can see kind of how these work. Okay, and then this one. Now, a lot of times with the tulle, they will tie the tulle around the chair as well. Sometimes they will tie burlap and tulle together around the chair. But you can see all of these look very bridal. And they just look great. And you can have as many things draping down as you want. But if you're going to be doing these bows, I do suggest that you take some pictures on a chair. It doesn't have to be a great chair, just any chair. I like to use something that has a little bit of wood in it because that's often used for weddings. All right, so just make sure you let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you in the next video.